Australia had a giant win yesterday, beating Netherlands by 309 runs. Is it? It looked like a two-innings match in some strange ways. In the ODI World Cup, they broke the old record of 257 runs win by Australia against Afghanistan. In 2015, Glenn Maxwell scored 106 runs very quickly, getting the fastest century in the World Cup in just 40 deliveries. David Warner also did the great damage with 104 runs. Australia batted first, making 399 runs in 50 overs, while the Netherlands only managed 90 runs in 20 overs. Well, that's another day. Forgetful evening for Netherlands. However, the Netherlands started their chase but lost their top three players quickly, and the Australians' fast bowlers were just too strong. Thus, the lead of the Netherlands gave away the most runs in an ODI match, 115, and took 2 wickets, while Logan van Beek got 4 wickets. Next, this is an all-important match. England, yes, will play Sri Lanka in the ICC World Cup in 2023. Both teams have won only one match out of 4. Yes, one game thus far. It should be an exciting game, all in all matches. England has won 38 out of the 78 games against Sri Lanka, but that's all for statistical delight. Well, we're not getting too much into the verbal acrobats. We'll go straight down to 3 of my most power-packed guests who've joined in from all parts of the world. Mr. Rajkumar Sharma from Delhi, in fact, the administrator and the director of Arun Jaitley Stadium last night. He was beaming with smile. Welcome to the show, sir. Mr. Rajkumar Sharma. Were you happy with the way things unfolded last night, the way Aussies batted and the way things happened in the entire game?
Yeah, Sunil, as we were talking that this wicket looks of 400 runs. So Australia did that, and I must congratulate the curator of Arun Jaitley Stadium that he prepared the wicket so well, and that showed the Aussies really enjoyed batting on that. But I was expecting more from Netherlands, and I was thinking that they will fight back or they will go near to Australia, but somehow they collapsed, and Australia bowled very well. Dafa got some help from the wicket, and he bowled really well. And but I was not expecting that this to be a one-sided affair. There was a pretty good amount of people came in the stadium to support Netherlands, and they were expecting a good match. Unfortunately, they enjoyed Australian inning, but they couldn't enjoy Netherlands batting.
Well, absolutely. It was a great hospitality laid out to both the teams. However, only one team could take the entire lounge facilities. I can take a step back and go on to my another friend and a colleague, Paul Dennett, the cricket journalist from Down Under. Paul, did you wake up to a brilliant smile, or you couldn't sleep and start the celebrations?
Hey, Sunil, I watched every ball, as I always do. It's something that we get used to down in this country. With our time zone, you've got to be a night owl if you're going to be a sports fan. And, geez, it was a great watch. Glenn Maxwell is my favourite player. And some of the shots that he played, the reverse sweeps, the reverse hook shots, no one else can play that way. And I sometimes get a little bit annoyed at the Australian selectors that Glenn Maxwell has never played a test match in Australia. I look at what India has done with Ravi Jadeja. I think they're very similar kind of one-out-of-the-box generational players. And as much as Glenn Maxwell has been wonderful, I wish that we could have seen more from him at the Australian level in the red ball format. But we're talking about the white ball format, and everything's going good for the Aussies at the moment.
Absolutely. It looked brilliant for the Aussies. But just take a step back and see, a week ago, Australians didn't look the side that they promised to look like, or they carried the pedigree of what it is. Did it make you upset? And are we looking at two sides?
I'll tell you what, we always tend to perform in the World Cup, even if we've been terrible beforehand. But each time that it happens, you sort of think to yourself, maybe this is the time it's not going to happen. And so after the first couple of hours against Sri Lanka, after we'd lost our first 2 games and Sri Lanka was smashing us everywhere, it looked terrible. That David Warner took 2 really good catches in the outfield. Pat Cummins did a direct hit. And from there on, it's like we've started to write our own scripts. Everything has gone perfectly. And I'm starting to go the other way. And I'm starting, is it too perfect? Have we peaked too soon? It's all, superstition comes around when you start to be a sports fan in World Cups.
Absolutely. Superstition does come around. I'd like to now invite somebody who's joined from London, David Brooks. David, your crystal ball gazing was very accurate, that Australia will peak, but more importantly, you said England has had the worst possible run up to the entire thing. What made you say that, and what made you, your fan, your Gorilla fans see it, and your management couldn't see it coming? David.
Well, it was an act of treachery on my part to be the first whistleblower to say the Emperor has no clothes, Butler has no clothes, Michael Mott, the coach. They don't have the leadership qualifications. I mean, let's look at the coach for a start. That's why I said what I said. I didn't see a unit capable of really doing anything in this tournament, and I get no satisfaction from seeing them holding up the table below Afghanistan, who've been brilliant, and South Africa and India, and of course Australia. So some teams have been playing great cricket. England's not one of them. You talk about the preparation.
David, I've got to interrupt you here and get your view very pointed. You said 3 reasons why England was going to fail. First was the lack of practice in the ODI format. B, that was the coach. And what was the third part? You've got to just explain a little bit, and then I'll get Mr. Rajkumar Sharma, the coach, and ask him, is it the right way of going into the World Cup?
Raj,
go on.
Listen to this. Hear me now. So in the preparation was 20 over cricket only, followed by the 100 ball tournament.
Right.
Followed by 3 inconsequential ODIs against Ireland. That was their preparation at the end of September on green wickets, with the second team out because they'd all been fully extended during the 100, which the English Cricket Board have been pushing harder than, I don't know. So the preparation was terrible. Contrast that with the last World Cup when they had 11 50-over matches in the run-up. This time only 4, 3 of them against Ireland. The coach himself, Raj, has no qualifications for this role. Just because you've coached a women's international team to success does not mean you're equipped to lead the men's team in a tournament of this nature. That's no disrespect to the women's game at all. I'm a huge supporter of the women's game, but it's not relevant experience. I don't care what he's done for New South Wales in domestic cricket. This is a world cricket tournament where you're pitting your wits against the finest players. Look at Virat Kohli. What a tournament he is having. Didn't we say that before
Absolutely.
The start?
Well, the fanboy in you, apart from 3 billion other cricket fans, will emerge on Virat Kohli. But right now, let me just hold on to your thoughts, transport it to Mr. Rajkumar Sharma and ask him, sir, the role of coach is very important. And suddenly you get a new coach with a different thinking, suddenly who's coached the women's cricket in Australia, comes down and takes over from the men's cricket in the ODI white ball with no great series under his belt. Do you think England had enough, or they just took it lightly?
Not lightly. I think they must not have any choices, or I don't know why they have taken such a decision. England had so many promising coaches earlier, and they have done so well under them. But as it's a news for me that at the last moment they called a women's team coach, and he was given the charge. And as he told about the preparations also, that they were just playing T20 matches and hundreds only. So that is not the right preparation for one-day games. 50 overs game is a totally different ball game, and for a batsman and even for a bowler, it is totally different. You have to plan your batting, and you have to plan your innings in this. And in T20 and hundreds, you just go and do the bang bang, and it's not like that in 50 overs game. You have to just build your inning. Even for the bowlers, you just need not to bowl dot balls only. You got to take wickets only to restrict the other team. So it is a different ball game, and I think England, if they have not prepared so well, so they are to be blamed themselves, and they should have played too many one-day games for the preparation, and that would have been a better preparation rather than playing T20 cricket or hundreds for one-day World Cup.
Well, Definitely, there wasn't enough preparation when it goes to the English side, and that's why they're languishing somewhere at the bottom of the table. We'll have the pool standing in a while, but just let's go to Paul Dennett. Paul, Australia started off with more or less with the same kind of trajectory. They picked up their game. Do you think England has lost the plot somewhere? Paul?
England, I think we might see the best out of England still to come. And I've got to defend my countryman, Matthew Mott, as the coach. He has an amazing pedigree. Not only did he coach the Australian women's team to be arguably the greatest sporting side on the planet, not just cricket, but his preparation as he coached England to the World T20 World Cup at the MCG just a few months ago in the final there. So his pedigree is absolutely superb. He was the best coach they could have had for the job. The reason they haven't played so well is that, only a couple of games, small sample size, things don't always go so well. They made a mistake in the toss in this last game, probably not realising just how much the heat was going to impact them. And I think that some of their bowling all-rounders haven't performed. So you look at Curran, you look at Wokes, they have been the bedrock of the side, coming in at 8 and 9 and being able to do a job with the ball. They had to drop them because they weren't performing. Then they had an injury during the game, their last game as well. I'm backing England to have a big second half of the tournament. They'll need almost a miracle to make it through to the semis, but Australia did it in 1999. I still think England can make the semis.
Well, England can still make the semis, sir. Mr. Rajkumar Sharma, if you remember last time, England couldn't make it, almost couldn't win and make it to the semi-final. It was only the encounter against India that got them through in the classification matches. Sir, do you think the best is yet to come from the English side, or they've completely lost the plot, sir?
No, I don't think they have lost it completely. They are capable of bouncing back. They are a brilliant team. They are the defending champions. So we must not forget. And I think they have all the capability. They have got superb, all-rounders. And the fellow rightly said that their, all-rounders have not contributed. So that is where they are lacking. And I think they will come good because they are all three are top-class cricketers. And I think once they start performing, England can always bounce back, and they still have a chance. If they win all their matches, then it will be on the net run rate, and you never know which team will go through to the semis.
David, you spoke about that this World Cup is about redemption. Last night you saw Australia take their shot at it. Virat Kohli has done it. You want to guess another redemption, or you want to just highlight on those 2 points? David, if you can hear me.
I can hear you, yes. And if the redemption of Virat Kohli has been something to behold, because he was relieved of the captaincy of the ODI and Test teams prematurely, in my view. That sapped his power for a while. But my God, has he come back in this tournament? The intensity and the skill that he has shown has been superb. Virat Kohli, my man of the tournament so far. But redemption for England, I think it's unlikely. I don't share the optimism of my colleagues in Australia. And even Raj is being too kind to an England side that lacks any leadership, any strategy, or any plan. You see, the problem is... that Michael Mott does not know anyone in England. He doesn't know the players. He doesn't know anyone. If he did know, he wouldn't have Carl Hopkinson sitting next to him as one of his assistants, a Sussex second-team batsman, and a fielding coach for a second division side in Sussex. I'm sorry, that is not what you need. What an inexperienced manager needs from an assistant manager. It's nonsense. And Joss Butler has limited captaincy ability. But my main beef with England is they've packed the side full of these bits and pieces T20 players. 5 of the team have not played a 50-over match in a year, concentrating on T20. I would get rid of anyone who only plays T20. They're useless in a long-form game. Topley is a walking sick note waiting to happen, incapable of bowling any spell more than 5 overs. Jason Roy, don't make me laugh, went off to play for the Los Angeles Stalkers instead of playing for Surrey, or instead of making himself available for England. And he's in the squad as a reserve. Rashid has retired from 50-over cricket and has opened a fish and chip shop with Azim Rafiq, whistleblower from Yorkshire. Apparently, he spends his time down the fish and chippy, not in the nets at Headingley. And Moeen Ali had to be coaxed into playing the Ashes series, had to be persuaded, and has immediately said he's unavailable for the India series, leaving England in a big hole for that series that follows, the Test series in January. So, look, if bits and pieces players want to earn some money and pay their mortgage, their wives and their mistresses off, that's fine. Let them go and play these T20 leagues. Well, this is serious World Cup cricket, and the top cricketers really are shining through.
Well, in fact, we're talking about the England cricket side, and we have another fan, Ajit Shah from England, who talks about, I agree that all the predictions were made for England in the semis and possibly some are also winning it. England play all for their home matches on exceptionally flat wickets where hitting through the line is easy, but they all struggle as soon as the wicket is slightly bowler friendly. As for the Test cricket, I agree things are better, but wait for the next generation of batsmen who don't even know how to defend, then we will wait and call for a 3-day test. Well, those were harsh words by another acclaimed fan from England, Ajit Shah. I'd like to put on the question to the coach, Mr. Rajkumar Sharma. Sir, have they somewhere lost the act of defending and letting go of the good ball or the turning tracks? Your view, sir?
Too many T20 games where you have to hit all the balls. You tend to play you tend to chase all the balls outside the off time. You don't leave any ball because you can't afford to have a dot ball. So that habit, yes, Sunil, cost real dent to the technique of any batsman, and that is why people struggle in long format of the game, because they are into habit of hitting every ball. So in the same way, bowlers, they don't, if you look at spinners, they don't flight in one-day matches, and because they tend to bowl fast and they just want to hit the pads and bowl dot balls. So that spin bowling or batsman leaving, that is required in 50 overs game, but since they are playing too many T20 games and hundreds, so they are hitting each and every ball. So that technique is lacking in 50 overs game, and I think that is required.
Well, absolutely. Today, England takes on Sri Lanka. It's an all-important game for them. It's virtually a do-or-die game for them. Paul, I'd like to come on to you. Having an Aussie in the room and a thorough Englishman, how do we get to them to agree on a cricketing point of view, Because you seem to have disagreed on everything. What is that one common thing that you guys can agree when it comes to cricket, English cricket or Australian cricket? Let's go. Well, have a go at each other.
Well, I think the one thing that we can agree upon is that the Ashes is still the most important thing in cricket. And World Cups are great, but we're very proud of the fact that we've got a 150-year tradition of the Ashes, and also very proud of the fact that Australia has a winning record over England. So we can agree on that, I think.
Well, David, do you believe Ashes is the real deal and not the other India-Australia or India-Pakistan matches? David, just take a go at Paul.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Skash, because Paul and I are going to be buddies in agreement on this one. I think the long-form game is underrated by administrators. I think fans love it. They all get involved in series like the Ashes. It's the pinnacle. India, thanks to Virat Kohli, are showing new interest in Test cricket too. Look at the performances of Jadeja and Ashwin against Australia, over 200 wickets against them. There have been some great performances in Test cricket, and I agree with Paul. The Ashes is right up there as a series that has everything, and this series gave us plenty of entertainment. When you look back on this summer, what are people going to remember, apart from the World Cup? They're going to remember Bairstow. They're going to remember the Bairstow incident, the controversial incident. They're going to remember the heroics shown by the Australian captain, who I thought captained the team with great deal of skill and responsibility. I love the vibe in this Australian side. But I'm going to say something, Paul. I think they're a really likeable team. That's very unusual for Australians. I'm obviously exempting David Warner from that. But the rest of them, the other 10, are very likeable people. I love Cummins and the way he captains the side. I'm a huge Labuschagne fan. And it's great to see them enjoying their cricket. And as for Adam Zampa, give the man a medal. He consistently delivers. Again, we saw him at his best today. As far as Glenn Maxwell is concerned, what touches me about Glenn Maxwell is he's not a T20 put him in a box specialist. He's gone out of his way to play long-form cricket, first-class cricket in Australia, county championship cricket in England. And, you know, when he got called up for that test match, when there was an injury to one of the frontliners, he was so emotional. It meant so much to him, and that says it all for me.
Well,
whereas I think an England player like Liam Livingstone spends 3 months in the gym pumping iron and then goes for range hitting practice as preparation. I mean, Raj is going to have a laugh at that.
all right. I think we've just lost Mr. Rajkumar Sharma due to technical reasons. However, I'll come to Paul Dennett. Paul, out of the 3 points, at least you have an Englishman agreeing on to one, that Test cricket is the real deal, but we still haven't agreed that Ashes is the right one, considering there are new teams emerging. What do you see of England today? Let's take a step back, look at what's happening on team today. Tell us what's happening today against England and Sri Lanka match.
Well, I think England are going to win, but Sri Lanka, they're a decent side and conditions can play a significant part. I like to think that England are going to return back to some of their all-rounders in the side, and I think that they'll play a much better the game than they did early on. I'm probably going to disagree again a little bit. That I think that one of the things that England did so well in 2019 was to play without fear, and they could play almost a T20 style of batting their entire way through the innings. Now, we've seen South Africa, I think, pace their innings really well in this World Cup, get off to an explosive start, steady back and then push towards the end. And I think that England have been a little bit diffident in the way that they've played. I think we'll see a very, very aggressive England side in this match tonight, and I think they'll win convincingly.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.